Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday for the month of March on the lovely, or hopefully lovely, March 21st. We're almost there through the month, and next week, when we get to here, I will be broadcasting from GalaxyCon Richmond, um, which will be fun, hypothetically, because coming from Comic Cons is not always the easiest route, especially 4 day shows that require ridiculous travel and long hours, and it'll be a good experience. But man, it's gonna be a party for sure. Um, I'm excited because it looks like I'm taking my daughter Rosa with me. Um, she was not originally going to be able to go just because of life being lifing, and but looks like it's going to work out, which is honestly good for me because that's not a show I wanted to do by myself. Like I was yay close to like saying, "Somebody please come help me." Thanks, Tristan. I appreciate it. And I'm making a moderate attempt to be dapper. A, because I haven't done my hair today. Because I woke up, rolled out of bed, and did this. And B, because I found this hat for 40% off at Cracker Barrel. So, I got to wear it where I can functionally get away with it. Um, yeah. So we're here. We're going to talk about news for the past week, and there's been plenty. Um, but yeah, let's jump right into it. Good morning. I think I saw Sarah Miller in there. Hello. All right. So starting off, last week, Starbucks announced that they're dismissing the rest of people's processes of getting rid of DEI. Starbucks has made the announcement that they believe DEI is a key to their strength of business, and they will not be getting rid of it, despite whatever else is going on in the world. After you've heard me publicly publicly push off the speculation and the rumors and things, Ted Lasso season 4 is now officially happening. Blue check mark officially stamped. It's going on. With Jason Sudeikis, Ted returning, which was one of the topics of discussion because even with the idea of the show returning, it was not guaranteed that Jason slash Ted would be returning himself, and that is now in fact happening. And what has also been stated is that not only is Jason returning, but he will be returning to coach a women's soccer league. Will be the plot premise. Now, there's no guarantee that it's necessarily going to be in England, um, as one of the issues for his slow return was based on the fact that he didn't want to be away from his own children. Um, but we'll see how this plays out because maybe he everything's worked out and they're going to be able to do these things ahead of time. But either way, Ted Lasso season 4 is now officially happening. So get ready, get excited if it's your jam. You're officially going to get another shot. Whether it's, you know, I I really feel like they kind of stuck the landing with 3, but I'm not going to complain because I could use some more Ted Lasso in my life. So, um, yeah, Ted Lasso season 4 is official. Um, if you are a fan of the show White Lotus, which I've seen some, especially this season, but there's a big hubbub over Lucius Malfoy doing a steamy scene, and he was greatly offended by the internet's response because There was lots of criticism of his body in the process. Um, and he said that if it was a woman's role, none of these things would have been said, and it's such a double standard for men. And uh, that he specifically referenced a young lady named Margaret Qualley, who was in the award-winning film The Substance, and stated no one would dare talk about her body scenes in that film the way they've talked about his body in this show. So that's a thing. Jason Ritter, son of John Ritter, has officially been cast in the DC Studios TV series Lanterns in a recurring role. Now, uh, hey Kelly, good morning, bro. Um, I love you too. If we've already seen Hal Jordan, we've seen John Stewart. Based on what I know of Jason Ritter, my money is that he is playing Kyle, the uh, Green Lantern that is a graphic artist, and that would be the case, but we'll see how it is. Um, Caesar or SZA, depending on how you say her name, because I mix her and the Pokemon up. Um, SZA's SOS song has spent 80 weeks on the Billboard 200 Top 10, which officially broke the record for Jackson's Thriller album for the longest run on the Billboard Top 200 by an African American artist. So there you go. SZA's out there breaking Michael Jackson records. Um, Looney Tunes is in the news a couple times this week. Last week they released the animated film The Day the World Blew Up, which has gotten kind of good critical response so far. And but immediately following that, HBO Max, or just Max if you want to call it that, removed all the classic Looney Tunes from the network. Meaning basically everything from the 30s into the 60s was removed and lost that streaming. House of David on Amazon Prime is now the second most watched show on Amazon Prime. Let that bake your noodle. Um, that's including The Boys and Invincible and Rings of Power and Reacher. House of David is now the second most popular, most watched show on Amazon total. Uh, if you are aware of the early 2000s trend of Rob Zombie horror films like House of a Thousand Corpses and um, there's just a handful of them. Um, there was a character called Captain Spaulding, um, who is a scary clown. Um, and there has been a uh, outrage over a book called Z is for Zombie, um, which uses characters from those films to teach kids the alphabet. So people on the internet are angry about the things, which is usually the subtitle for about every news story. Um, there is a Broadway run of the play Othello, which is currently uh, going on, and it is now the highest grossing weekly Broadway play in history. Othello is currently starring Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal and is currently bringing in more money than any other Broadway play weekly in history. So, um, with all that we've seen in various musicals and things, that's pretty high standard to top. If you have smart children or you are a smart child, good news for you. Harvard has officially announced that they will go tuition free if your family makes less than $200,000. So good. And attending Harvard will be completely free if your family makes less than $100,000. So, um, quit your jobs, let your children go to a good school for free. Um, just let it bake for about a year and a half, and then you can file your taxes and send your kid to Harvard for nothing. Um, I definitely am nowhere near that $200,000 mark. So I don't even think I'm anywhere near the $100,000 mark. So we'll see how that goes. And uh, with the if you make less than $100,000, the university is also committing to cover housing, health insurance, and travel costs between campus and home. So again, if you're smart or your kids are smart, you better jump on it because you have a chance to go to Harvard um, real soon. This past week, Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus on The Chosen, as well as played a uh, character in the Jesus Revolution film a couple years ago, did Jimmy Kimmel, which good for him. But one of the things that was revealed when Jonathan Rumi did the Jimmy Kimmel show, um, sorry, not Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, he did the Jimmy Fallon show, um, is that Jonathan Rumi, Jesus from The Chosen, was one of the main voice people for Celebrity Deathmatch. Remember that? The claymation combat series where celebrities beat each other to a near bloody pulp on screen. He was the voice artist for the announcer and several of the characters, and he shared that story as well. So, um, literally, Jesus was the celebrity deathmatch guy. So that's great. Um, th- yeah. Invincible season three ended this week, or within the last week, and the Invincible season three finale is now one of the highest rated TV episodes ever on IMDb. Um, hey, good morning, Brent. Uh, the season three Invincible finale is up there with the same rating as Connor's Wedding from Secession, Battle of the B Words from Game of Thrones, children's, the Clone Wars season finale or series finale, and a few others. So the end of Invincible is one of the highest rated from Cleveland, Ohio, because Cleveland rocks. Um, yeah, and apparently the season three finale of Invincible was Chef's Kiss. It's just below things like the Breaking Bad finale in terms of ratings. The NASA astronauts that were stranded in space for 9 months instead of 8 days have officially made their way back to the planet. And as Switchfoot said, welcome to the planet. Um, they spent 9 months aboard the ISS, and the astronauts' names are Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, and they landed back in the ocean this week. And delightfully enough, when they landed back in the ocean and came out of their little pod, uh, dolphins greeted them. So they got like a video game closing screen type welcome. Legal action is being threatened against University of Colorado coach Deion Primetime Sanders over imposing religion on student athletes, meaning that after games, like in many sporting events, including most NFL events, high school, college, and everywhere else events, they're praying or they have a chaplain come in and speak every now and again. This is a common practice in sports, but it's, not always welcomed, and it's definitely being not here. The Freedom from Religious Foundation has called out the school, saying that this is unconstitutional and they are threatening legal action against the University of Colorado and specifically Deion Sanders. Um, these type of suits pop up pretty often, but because of the level of celebrity that comes with Deion Sanders, it does bring a little extra tenacity. Pokemon has officially announced and teased their first actual Lego uh, project. There's been tons of licensed and often unlicensed, almost Lego projects for Pokemon. Things that were like block building, but not Lego, Lego is officially doing Pokemon beginning real soon. So if you are a Lego collector or a Pokemon fan, um, I hope you don't have to catch them all because it's real expensive. Uh, you can literally buy houses cheaper than you can buy good Legos. So Pokemon and Lego is coming. This week, Tracy Morgan uh, became ill at the Knicks game and is okay after all. Um, and he said that Madison Square Garden took good care of him, and apparently he had gotten food poisoning before he got to the game, and just got sick on the court. And he said in a tweet that he tweeted from his hospital bed. Um, but the most important thing is now the Knicks are 1-0 when he throws up on the court. So if he says they start to lose in the future, he'll break that out so they'll continue to win. Yep. Steph Curry has accepted an administrative. Good morning, Miss Lynn. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, Steph Curry has accepted an administrative position with Davidson College, his alma mater, as the assistant general manager for the basketball team, joining his fellow alumni Berman. And they've launched what they've called the Curry Fund or the Kerman Berman Fund, which is an eight eight figure, an eight-figure initiative aimed at supporting both men and women's basketball programs and sharing revenue with student athletes. So effectively, Steph Curry and Berman showed up and said, "Hey, we're going to make sure y'all get all the funding you need and make sure student athletes actually get paid properly." Um, and he wanted to offer world-class experience to his alma mater. So look at that. It's great for them giving back. If you're a fan of Sons of Anarchy, or maybe a little bit on the lesser end for Bates Motel, the actor who played Opie, Ryan Hurst in Sons of Anarchy, is now making not only a big screen jump, but probably the biggest screen jump absolutely possible. Ryan Hurst has joined Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan being one of the world's biggest filmmakers, and The Odyssey literally having almost everybody in the planet except Robert Downey Jr. in it. Um, so Opie is not only joining a big movie, he's joining a movie of ridiculously high caliber actors all over the place. So that's actually happening. The board at Tesla, board members lost over $100 million in stocks in recent weeks. And members of the board uh, are beginning to call for Elon's resignation with that. Uh, I do social media. That's kind of why we're here in some regard. I do social media for me, for my church. I've done it for other organizations. I've done it professionally. Done some stuff for the Amazing Race. Um, I've done stuff for brands and products, and I do it now for a college. So I'm always a little bit like pseudo judgy slash uh discerning when I watch other people's social media habits. And the White House this past week officially did some shenanigans that A, I would have gotten fired for anywhere. I would have fired myself. Um, but yeah, um, the White House posted a video this week of deportees in chains being loaded onto a plane with music set to the video to Semisonic's 1998 masterpiece, also again made popular by The Office and every bar anyone's ever been to, Closing Time. but they posted a picture of chained deportees being loaded to a plane with the line from the song, "You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here." I get it. I get why it was posted. I get why the song choice was. I get it. If it was anybody else, it would make a good TikTok or at least a ironically funny TikTok. Incredibly insensitive. But the thing is that it was posted by the actual White House's social media, which jinkies. Um, yeah, also semisonic. Your girlfriend likes Amazing Race. What did you do? If you can tell us. Oh yeah, I can tell you. Um, so this is a side note on for just Amazing Race things. For most time, and I can't speak because this was about current things, but this was a ways back. Um, there was a time when if you did the Amazing Race, people weren't supposed to be. Okay, hold on. Specifically, there was an Amazing Race season that dealt with celebrities of people who were already semi-famous, specifically with the internet. Um, or they're either famous or semi-famous. And these celebrities couldn't appear to go radio silent for weeks on end because it would appear that um, they were missing or something was wrong. Good morning, Carl. And so I was hired to fill in the gap for a certain internet personality's socials. Um, so I was posting on their Instagram and responding to their tweets and posting their photos. And basically, I was someone's social media manager who was a Amazing Race contestant and also internet celebrity um, for the time that it took them to compete on the Amazing Race. They basically gave me a breakdown of things they would do and wouldn't do, and certain people to interact with, and photos to post, and videos to post, and basically said, be me on the internet for a few weeks, or as long as the show lasted for them, which they only ended up competing for about 3 weeks to a month. So yeah, but either way, um, not the coolest move on the White House part for that. Not the any Yeah, I'm just saying on a social media standpoint, that's not super cash money of you to do. Um, Will Smith is returning to his musical roots. Will Smith announced this week that he would be dropping his first album in 20 years, which I can't believe it's been 20 years since Will Smith dropped an album, but I also can't remember anything past getting jiggy with it. Um, yeah. Uh, but yeah. Uh, Will Smith has announced that he will be doing a um album called Based on a True Story, and it will drop next week. It will drop on the 28th. So if you're ready for a brand new Will Smith album, here you go. Um the two astronauts that were stranded in space, one of them Brett or Butch Wilmore made when the first thing he did once he got a platform once he got back was to give Jesus Christ thanks and credit for getting them home. So he used his platform to glorify God with that. Oh, I got you, dude. Brett. So yes, back to the uh, Invincible finale. The Invincible finale, again, like I said, is one point of a point away from a perfect episode, which the only perfect episode is right there with the Breaking Bad finale. It's right there with Connor's wedding from Succession, the Battle of the B Words from Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones Victory and Death from Clone Wars, which is the finale, and Sozin's Comet Part 4, the final episode of Avatar, The Last Airbender. So it's considered that high of a thing. Um, in the Justin Baldoni, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively shenanigans that are continuing to go on. This week, Ryan Reynolds specifically requested that he be removed from the uh the I'm not up there, Tristan, yet. I actually forgot to finish season two and hadn't watched any of season three. So I think I just finished season two last night while I was gathering these news stories and waiting for Assassin's Creed Shadows to drop, which, by the way, Assassin's Creed Shadows has come out. I've not played any of it because I've not had time. I haven't been. It took 3 hours for the game to load to my Xbox. And then I had to go to sleep. Um, Hopefully, when I get done with work today, maybe I'll play some Assassin's Creed. But Ryan Reynolds moved to have his portion of the lawsuit dismissed. Um, and that's one of the things specifically is that he called Baldoni a predator. And he said that he wasn't calling Baldoni a predator in a defamatory sense. He was saying that it was his opinion, which should disqualify him. But it does not look like that's going to happen, that they're going to dismiss that Ryan Reynolds will not be dismissed from this situation. Um, yeah. Pepsi, uh, Shadows, yes. Pepsi has made a move to continue to corner the market on everything. Now, they have shifted into the better for you category of sodas, uh, buying the healthy soda option Poppy. If you've seen commercials for it or know somebody that just doesn't enjoy life as much and they are drinking Poppy, um, now it's owned by Pepsi. Poppy is on the effect of what's that what's that drink that tastes like TV static? Um, that comes in a can. There's something that barely has flavor, and I can't remember what it is. It's too early in the morning. Um, but yes, uh, they bought Poppy for $1.6 billion dollars. Um, yeah. So there you go. Poppy now part of Pepsi. A man in North, not bubbly, dude. It's something older than that. It's something that's been around forever that comes in vaguely fruit flavors. It's sparkling. LaCroix. There we go. Brent Burr. LaCroix. Yes, Poppy is the newer, cooler version of LaCroix, in my opinion. Apparently, it's better than LaCroix. Um, but yeah, for sure. Um, a man in North Charleston, uh, spray painted some Tesla refill stations that said "Long live the Ukraine," and a offensive statement about Donald Trump at the outlet mall near North Charleston. Then the man ignited, or the man, then the man ignited an unidentified material um, stuffed into beer bottles and tried to burn the station, and then accidentally caught himself on fire in the process. And so now this man is going to be facing uh, jail time um, and severe burns from his Tesla protest there. Um, Dollywood is now buying Kennywood, which is in Pittsburgh. And Lynn says you don't condone his actions, but I'm kind of disappointed I didn't see this. Yeah. Well, we had a similar situation in Fayetteville, North Carolina, in the during the pandemic where a dude threw a Molotov cocktail on a historic but also um, controversial building in downtown Fayetteville, and the Molotov cocktail bounced off the door, hit the dude who threw it, lit him on fire, and then he rolled down the stairs in flames. And it's all on TikTok where it was. Um, but yeah, but in Pittsburgh, Dollywood is now buying Kennywood, and I did not know that Kennywood existed. Um, there's that. So I'm assuming Kennywood is like Kenny Rogers, and it's his theme park. This is a bold assumption, but I also didn't care enough to look it up. But either way, Dollywood is buying a Pittsburgh theme park called Kittywood. So there you go. Uh, Chris Chernbull, who is the dude responsible for Broadchurch, the British mystery series, as well as the Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who, is releasing his first full mystery novel called Death at White Hart. Um, yeah. So I'll say this. Chris Turnbull, I do not think was great at show running or writing Doctor Who, but he is masterclass at mysteries, whodunits, and noir style detective stories. So if you are looking for a book to check out, I would probably recommend this, or I'm going to check it out myself. But Death of the White Hart, Death at the White Hart, and Hart is spelled Hart, like the deer, not the um. Yes. In case your life needed more of things to be background distractions, The Simpsons has launched in partnership with Disney Plus a 24-hour, 7-day a week Simpsons streaming platform. Um, there are 767 current episodes of The Simpsons across seasons 1 through 35, and it takes roughly 282 hours to watch it all, which means it takes about 12 days straight. Um, and this will be a nonstop repeat of The Simpsons beginning to end on constant loop. Uh, this doesn't exist yet, but if it did, also, if you did this with One Piece, it would take 17 days. Um, but yeah, The Simpsons now has its own channel. Yeah. No, the just the currently just the Japanese One Piece. I mean, I think the English One Piece is now caught up on all the episodes that are produced as of this week. But the anime of One Piece has 1,130 22 or 32 episodes currently out, and it will take 17 days straight, and it's borderlining on 8 days or say 18 days straight now to go all the way through. Google has announced a deal to buy a rapidly growing cybersecurity firm, um, The Wiz, and they're buying it for $32 billion. And it will be Google's biggest acquisition ever. Um, oh, you're saying it is the American One Piece. You know what, dude? Yeah, you're right. Um, but what's crazy to me is, and I guess they don't have to run at the same pace. One Piece has been around a shorter period of time and has like 500 more episodes than One Piece. Or 500 more episodes than The Simpsons. I get it. They don't have to churn The Simpsons out as frequently. Um, yeah, because The Simpsons has been around since I was in fourth grade or third grade, and One Piece has been around since I graduated high school. Um, but yeah, sorry, I don't always get textual context or textual context for jokes sometimes, especially this early in the morning. Um, now, uh, with this past week in college sports, the North Carolina Tar Heels (UNC) now has the most wins in NCAA tournament history with 134 wins in NCAA tournament history. Also, in NCAA history, um, UNC Pembroke made the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. UNC Pembroke is my local college. It's also the college that I served at as a campus minister for 11 years. And one of my best friends is the athletic trainer for it. So it was a big week for Pembroke in sports. They did not advance much further than making the Sweet 16, but they did make it that far, and I commend them for that and celebrate that. Um, Covered that. Da, 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 da. The Big Bang Theory spinoff, which is now coming. The Big Bang Theory has successfully produced Young Sheldon and ran its course, and now it is following it up with a sequel series about the folks from the comic book shop. And the series will officially be called Stewart Fails to Save the Universe. So if you are a fan of Big Bang Theory and you need a comedically produced series about nerds in your life, with a laugh track, then Stewart Saves the Universe is going to be just right for you. Um, I would encourage you, don't just meet fictional nerds, meet some real ones too. Um, Officially, as of yesterday afternoon, the president signed an order to dismantle the Department of Education, and we'll see how that plays out for everybody. But yes, yesterday it was officially signed to dismantle the Department of Education. There is a new there's a new giant size Amazing Spider-Man comic book coming with lots of stories of Spider-Man in it coming this June, and one of the stories in this issue is written by Kevin Smith. Um, so Kevin Smith, Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, um, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that are in it, but Kevin Smith is the primary name on this book. Um, in movies, I don't know that we needed sequels to. Coco 2 has officially been announced. And what's even more off-putting than that is when its release date is. Coco 2 will release in 2029. 2029 sounds like a sci-fi thing, not like 4 years from now. Uh, in 2029, two of my kids will have graduated high school, and my youngest daughter will be like a high school junior going into senior. Um, Lynn says she loves Coco and she's not happy to hear this. So here's the deal. I watched Coco once. I don't know that I'm emotionally built to watch it twice. A, uh, my dad's name was Hector. So the skeleton dad talking to his kid like just was like messed with me in a whole different level. I have a kid named Rosa, which the daughter slash mom's name. So it's just like this hits a little close to home. The whole Latino heritage with it, and most of my family being dead. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I cried way too much, which is appropriate, of course, when I watched Coco. But like, man, um, but yeah, and I'm just thinking, what story is this going to be in 2029, all these years later? Because none of the people that watched Coco when it dropped are going to remotely be in the same place of life when this sequel drops. And so, I don't know. It's a thing. It's really weird what Disney cancels and goes forward with. It really is. But I digress. Um, so in local news, that's also national news. You may have seen this. It's being covered nationally. There was a family that saved up a bunch of money. Now, and when I say saved up a bunch, this is on a teacher's salary. Um, John Jacobs says Coco is the animated Selena. Bro. I've never seen Selena either. Sorry, I'm terrible at everything. But a local teacher who has a large family of children saved up a bunch of money to take their family on a cruise. Prepaid, registered, did all the things. Um, but the oldest son has special needs. Um, he's a great kid. He's I love him to death. Um, but they got to literally boarding the cruise, paid for, flew there, did all the things. They got to boarding the cruise, and they said that the oldest son with special needs could not board the ship, and their family was stuck there because there was nothing they could do. And it's turned into a big debacle. Um, it's getting a ton of media coverage. It's all over the national news in these ways, and they're hitting up the Royal Caribbean CEO to make this right. And I can understand how heartbreaking this is. And these are people I care about, so it's got a little bit more of a soft spot for me. But even if this was people I didn't know, that would suck. To take a whole family across the country on a teacher's salary to get on a cruise and then be told you couldn't bring your oldest child with you is just offensive and heartbreaking. So, um, uh, keep you posted on that. Um, there's been a lot of cool sports collaborations lately. There's was just a Lakers and One Piece combo. There's an upcoming Demon Slayer and Major League Baseball combo. Yeah, it was rough, dude. Um, Brent. And now Nintendo has officially announced a partnership with the baseball team, the Seattle Mariners, ahead of opening day. And the Nintendo logo will now be on the sleeve of all the Seattle Mariners players, as it's to promote the upcoming Switch 2 release. So, the Mariners will now have Nintendo jerseys, which is pretty dope. And things that are so, Disney canceled a Tiana series for Princess and the Frog, but now Disney just announced their new project will be, wait for it, a live action Power Rangers series on Disney Plus. So that's happening. And this will be the yeah, it's gonna be different. So Disney Plus will be bringing a live action Power Rangers series moving forward. Yep. If you heard last week or the week before, um, Scopely, which is a mobile gaming juggernaut, bought the video game Pokemon Go, which is the only game I've ever played for this many days. I think I've played every day physically possible since 2016. Um, but Pokemon Go was bought by the company Scopely, um, and they made a declaration that stated obtrusive ads will not now nor ever happen in Pokemon Go. So they're saying ads will not become something that hinders or gets in the way of your gaming experience, and you can be confident in that. I don't know. I don't trust people to do anything other than be people. Um, Saw 11 had been confirmed and was in production, but now has officially been reached a standstill and halted. And will not release this fall as originally was announced because there is a skirmish slash disagreement slash they can't agree and get along with the producers at this point. So the movie is being made and it's already in the works, but there's something going on the managerial level that's slowing down um, Saw 11's creation and release. I'd like to play a game. Release a 11th movie of a movie that should have not had 10 sequels. Saw is a very creative franchise in what it does. And I was honestly surprised they were making an 11th that still has the dude from the first one. Um, Either way, Amazon Prime is also making a God of War TV series, a live action God of War TV series. And they've already been renewed for a season two before season one even has a release date. Um, so season two of God of War will officially happen, whether the show's great or not. And yep, that's totally going down. Um, Although I feel like it would be pretty hard to mess up a God of War series, honestly. But then again, somebody messed up a Halo series in some ways. Fallout Season 2, speaking of Amazon Prime TV series, received a $153 million tax credit from the state of California, um, and which will greatly help its production and budget because it's running at about the fact that each episode is costing 18 to 19 million dollars. Yes, that's an expensive show. Um, Season 2, also speaking on Amazon Prime, season 2 of House of David has also been renewed. What's your favorite game to movie TV show thing? Um, I'm gonna chew on that, Brent, and think about it. I don't know that there are a ton of good ones. Um, I feel like Castlevania is a great anime. Um, with that, and I feel like honestly, Detective Pikachu was a solid entry into the Pokemon world. The Sonic movies aren't bad. Um, I don't know that I've seen anything that's like life-changingly perfect. Oh yeah, The Last of Us is really good too. But I because I'm an Xboxy person, I hadn't played The Last of Us, so I think it had less of an impact for me. I think there's been some good entries in the Resident Evil world, but not a great entry. Um, yeah, somewhere in there. Uh, I'm happy whenever stuff gets made. I just, I'm happier when it's made well. Um, like yeah, Castlevania has just been a really solid anime, and that what it always makes me laugh going back to has been Tristan has always been that I grew up watching Captain N and the Game Masters, of like Simon Belmont being a character on that, and then we're getting Castlevania now. Um, Scientists have stated after research that going without your phone for 72 hours can actually rewrite your brain and help break any addiction you have on your phone. And they recommend on a semi annual basis or every 2 or 3 months taking a um, 72-hour break from your phone. And that will help relieve your stress, bring your anxiety down, and help you to readjust to life. So, um, if you've got 72 hours to go without your phone, um, do that. Um, this past week, it was announced that Bella Ramsey, the young lady who um, is the star of the Last of Us TV series and a star of a lot of things my kids watched, was officially diagnosed with autism. It came about after a crew member of The Last of Us noticed some tics and traits in Bella and her actions. And that crew member was the parent of a child with autism and lovingly had a conversation with Bella about getting checked out. And so Bella was officially diagnosed with autism, and she says that she's found it very freeing and helpful and encouraging to receive that diagnosis. Um, and outside of just, The Last of Us and autism diagnosis and everything else, Bella Ramsey, in her younger days, was a very publicly devout believer and had a channel of just her playing guitar and singing worship songs. And I think it's still out there somewhere on YouTube. Um, but, as I've talked to many adults in recent years, and many being like a dozen, that I've spoken to personally that have been diagnosed as adults with autism, that's been helpful towards their growth and healing and journey. So, you know, it's nice to hear that someone else is taking that step and actually kind of realizing these things and uh, moving forward with that. This past week, um, Jonathan Majors, King the Conqueror, married Megan Good. Um, if you don't know Megan from many things, she is the um, young lady from Shazam 1 and 2, which is one of the few things I know her from. But Jonathan Majors and Megan Good got married this past week. Um, that happened. Um, Gal Gadot received her Hollywood Walk of Fame star this week, but her Walk of Fame induction and star was interrupted by protesters, and uh, for things for Israel, for things for human rights, and so her Hollywood induction was interrupted by protesters and things of that nature. Um, the band Journey uh, basically told you to stop believing this week. Um, During the middle of actually performing the song "Don't Stop Believing," they had to cancel their concert in Houston and evacuate the stadium. Um, They were in the middle of their concerts at the NRG Stadium and had to literally stop in the middle of Don't Stop Believing because an electrical fire broke out and people had to get out of there. So they ended the concert like the series finale of The Sopranos and told you to stop believing and get out. In North Carolina, two North Carolina fishermen made one of the most impressive catches ever, catching off the shore of North Carolina, catching a 1,000 pound great white shark and then releasing it back into the ocean. So, two dudes fishing in North Carolina caught 1,000 pound great white shark. Also in North Carolina, a group of scientists were testing water samples of the Cape Fear River and discovered a body that floated up in the process. Brent asks just a nerdy question: should Majors have been recast and King the Conqueror been the new villain instead of Doom and the return of RDJ? Dude, there's so many cogs in that wheel. And I'm pretty sure the Doom RDJ thing would have happened eventually. Um, but Marvel's not big on recasting. And if they can avoid it on major characters, I think they really would rather pivot. And now, technically speaking, all the that Majors has been acquitted or um, dismissed on all of the charges, and he's technically good to go. And he was never actually convicted of the things that he was fired for, so they might even bring him back. And I feel like I don't know, man. That's a I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a dog in that fight. Um, John Jacob says he is sad about RDJ as Doom. And here's the deal. I don't know. I get when you have a vision for things, and we'll see how it plays out. But I don't know that I see the same vision they see. Um, and I'm just here to enjoy some nerdy content every now and again. You said John Jacob said you wanted someone different. What, Killian Murphy would have been great, yeah. Um, but Killian Murphy doesn't have the mass to be um Doom, but he would have been great, absolutely. Um, and if you're not reading comics right now, One World Under Doom is the current book. There's a current line where Doom has literally taken over every government on the world, and it's pretty fresh. Um, 2,300 bottles are recalled for NyQuil or for Benadryl for child poisoning risk. Um, Thousands of bottles of NyQuil, or it's not NyQuil, Benadryl have been recalled because something is wrong and it can potentially poison children. So make sure you check your recalls with that. Um, A college professor in New Jersey claims that a 380 million year old fossil ended up in the landfill um, due to the university's janitorial staff. Like the janitorial staff threw away a $380 million fossil or 380 million year old fossil. Yeah. In multiple studies that confirmed this week that have their testing and their backing, and I've seen it from several significant news sources, is that marijuana users are 6 times more likely to have a heart attack. Um, that based on studies they've been doing over the last hot minute, they believe they have conclusive evidence that if you are a frequent marijuana user, you are 6 times more likely to have a heart attack. Nobody has told Snoop Dogg. Um, but yeah, they are, that's a thing. I've seen it in a few places this week. Um, yeah, previously mentioned that Deion Sanders was under fire for religious activities with his college. Um, and part of that even kind of furthered that along this week was that Deion Sanders brought in Denzel Washington to share his testimony with his players this week. And that he shared his testimony and says, he's been here to act, but he firmly believes now that God has put him on this earth to preach. He went from being a hater of God to a follower of Christ and encouraged the University of Colorado's team. 10,000 United States postal workers' jobs were cut this week. Um, and that's terrible. Um, and let me make sure I get the place right. And 70 miles, 75 miles from Anchorage, Alaska, Mount Spur, um, is being observed because it looks like Mount Spur near Anchorage, Alaska, is a volcano that has an impending eruption coming. Um, Anchorage is a town that has more than 300,000 people in it. Um, but emissions are coming from the mountain, including new magma that is flowing under the volcano, and they are confident that in the pseudo nearish future, a volcano eruption will be happening just outside of Anchorage, Alaska. So if you told me, you know, 2025 bingo card, volcanic eruption in Alaska, that's that little middle square that nobody had to get. Um, a California man has been granted a lawsuit for $50 million after a Starbucks employee did not secure uh, the lid to a drink on the cup. And again, this is the same thing we saw with the McDonald's incident years ago. Um, but a gentleman named Michael Garcia was doing a Postmates order and picked up 3 large drinks from Starbucks, and one of them was didn't have the lid on it, and he's getting $50 million in damages because he had to get skin grafts and things like that. Um, apparently, gas prices are hitting a all-time low for the past 4 years. The average gas price now is dropping to just at $3.03 per gallon. So we are looking at lower gas prices in March of 2025. Um, if you happen to be in Boston on St. Patrick's Day, you were treated to a pleasant surprise because Ed Sheeran popped up out of nowhere and did a concert at a little pub in Boston. He just showed up, pulled out a guitar, and started a concert, um, as Ed Sheeran can do because that's what he does. Um, do, do, do. This just 2 days ago, there was a announcement that the president and Putin have agreed to an energy and infrastructure ceasefire. Um, it's not like anything conclusive, but maybe that'll turn out to be something good. Director Carl Wrench has been arrested on charges that he stole $11 million from Netflix, which is why all of our accounts went up and y'all can't share passwords anymore. Um, but Eric Wrench was given $11 million to produce a Netflix sci-fi series and instead put all the money in cryptocurrency and investments and Ferraris. This is the dude that made the movie 47 Ronin. But he's been charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and he was arrested by federal prosecutors. An armed man pulled a gun outside the CIA headquarters on Wednesday morning, and SWAT team rushed and took him down. Don't do that. That'll get you in trouble. Um, Ukraine hit Russian Ukraine hit a Russian airfield with missiles. Yeah, throw a wrench in the plan. Ukraine hit Russian missile. Sorry, all the words. Ukraine hit a Russian airfield with missiles, and it was the airfield where it is believed that Russia was storing nuclear weaponry. And it exploded in a giant mushroom cloud explosion. Um, Not like a full nuclear detonation, but bigger than a missile strike. Uh, in case your world was lacking lavish descriptions of true crimes, you're in luck. Paris Hilton is about to launch a new line of true crime podcasts. So if you've ever just desperately needed to hear Paris Hilton give you a breakdown of a true crime event, your day's coming. Um, Apple TV has been knocking out bangers in terms of entertainment with Monarch, Severance being a critically acclaimed show, Ted Lasso doing all its things, Shrinking, things of that nature. But apparently, Apple TV is not doing well financially. Um, that it's a project of love, not a project of success. Apple TV is losing more than $1 billion per year according to a new report. The tech giant is spending about $4.5 billion on content per year. And Apple TV is currently only sitting at about 45 million subscribers. So they're basically creating content and losing money. Now, it's not like Apple's going to go broke, but that's not a very long-term sustainable plan. But yeah, so that's the news for the week. Um, What else has been going on? I put out a Goofy movie devotional, I think on Monday. So if you are a fan of Goofy movie and you have not checked that out, you could probably go check that out and see. You want to be in your fields. Oops, dropping dice. Um, yeah, dropped a new Goofy movie devotional. Um, I'm planning, if you're a Patreon supporter, I'm planning on sending out Patreon stuff at the beginning of the week. It's been a long few days, weeks, and such on the road. Let's read some Bible verses together. So I'm gonna roll three d20 and a d10 and see which book of the Bible we're gonna read out of today. We roll three d20 and a d10 so that we can go up to 70. Yes, John says they're dropping a documentary on the making of a Goofy movie. Yes. Um, we roll 70 so that we can subtract four and still be able to get the first four books of the Bible, as someone pointed out to me. So let's do some math real quick and read this Bible verses. All right. Get my calculator up. All right. We got a three. That's not big money. 11, 12, 13. 39 minus 4 puts us at 35. So we will be in the New Testament, y'all. I think we might even be in a gospel. Um, no, we're not. Boo. Um, we're in the Old Testament because there's 39 books in the Old Testament. So close. It's okay though. Put these dice out of the way. I got excited. Thought we were about to be in the Old Testament for a second. Or the New Testament. My rolls are not that good today. Sure, it's gonna be great though. All right. So 39 minus 4 puts us at 35. So 39, 38, 37, 36, 35. Habakkuk. All right. Habakkuk 1067. See how many chapters are in Habakkuk because I tell you, I do not know that off the top of my head. Habakkuk and are three chapters in Habakkuk. So what we're gonna do is TJ had you read it like four times. Uh Brent says, please pray for good weather in Cleveland this weekend. Are you got a convention here? Oh, dude, I hope it's a great convention. And I absolutely will pray for good weather there. I've got a wedding this weekend and my big convention's next week. I'm gonna roll a D6 and we'll do one and two is one, three and four is two, and five and six is three. One. All right, Habakkuk chapter one, which includes Habakkuk's complaint, the Lord's answer, and Habakkuk's second complaint. All right. My shoulder, man. I did something wrong to my shoulder, and it is not happy with me. All right, let's get a little marker here. I don't still have my current actual Bible I'm using. I left it at the church from preaching on Sunday, because I'm preaching again this week. Here we go. Habakkuk chapter 1. How long, Lord, must I call for help? Or sorry, before this is the prophecy of Habakkuk the prophet received. Um, the prophecy that Habakkuk the prophet received. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen, or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict. There is strife and conflict abounds. Hmm. Therefore, the law is paralyzed and justice never prevails. The wicked hymn in the righteous said that justice is perverted. Jeez. The Lord's answer. Verse 5. Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told. Hmm. I am raising up the Babylonians, that ruthless and impetuous people who sweep across the whole earth to seize the dwellings not their own. They are feared and dreaded because dreaded people. They are a law to themselves to promote their own honor. Their horses are swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves at dusk. Their cavalry gallops headlong, their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle swooping to devour. They all come intent on violence. Their hordes advance like the desert wind and gather prisoners like sand. They mock kings and scoff at rulers. They laugh at all fortified cities by building earthen ramps. Then they sweep past the wind and go on, guilty people whose strength is their God. Um, verse 12. Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, you will never die. You, Lord, had appointed them to execute judgment. You, my rock, have ordained them to punish. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. What then? Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent with the wicked? Swallow up those more righteous. Why do you tolerate the wicked? Um, why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? You have made people like the fish of the sea, like the sea creatures that have no ruler. The wicked foe pulls all of them up with hooks. He catches them in his net. He gathers them as in his dragnet, and so he rejoices and is glad. Therefore sacrifices in his net and burns incense in his dragnet. For by his net he lives in luxury and enjoys the choicest foods. Is he to keep on emptying his net um, without destroying nations without mercy? And so Habakkuk is getting this prophecy that the Babylonians are going to come and do damage and bring judgment and punishment on the people. And Habakkuk's just general plea is, God, um, why do you let things suck and why haven't you fixed it? And honestly, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of us that can look at that and say, samesies, um, where we feel like there's just so much wrong in the world and that God hasn't uh, executed judgment. He hasn't fixed everything. Um, he hasn't done all the things that we would like him to do. And that's honestly fair. Two things I would leave you with and encourage you by, hopefully. Um, one, is that God is patient and kind with us, um, because he wants to give us the opportunity, even the worst among us and the worst situations among us, to actually find grace and to find redemption, to find hope. Romans chapter 2, there's this phrase, Romans 2, verse, um, mm, let's go with 3 through 4. Says, so when you, a mere human being, pass judgment on them and yet do not and do the same things, do you not think that God you will escape God's judgment? And here's the verse I really wanted to hit. Verse 4. Or do you show contempt for the riches of his kindness, patience, and forbearance, not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance? So that God is patient with us and he is kind to us, and he's patient with the people that are horrible to us too, um, because he's trying to be kind enough to allow them to be able to find life. But even beyond that, um, Ecclesiastes 3, 11, uh, there's this verse that I've always loved. Um, he has made Ecclesiastes 3:11 says he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the heart of men. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. And saying that, listen, things are sucking in portions of the story, but he's going to make everything beautiful in its own time, and that he has put eternity in our hearts, meaning that we're longing for more than what we can see fulfilled here. And we're built for more than what we can see fulfilled here. So, which means we're going to be dissatisfied with what we see here because this isn't all we're built for. Um, it's like we're in the trailer instead of the movie, and we're built for more than just what we're seeing here and what we're seeing done around here. So I would be encourage you, but also know that If you've got complaints about how God is doing things and God is handling things, guess what? He can handle it. Be open and honest with him. And I take point in the fact that God included complaints against him in the scripture. It's not like, if this was a political thing or any earthly ruler, um, those things would be redacted. Those things would not be included. But how many times, especially through the Old Testament and even in the New Testament, are complaints about God included in God's word? He can handle it, but just please know that He is good to us and He is patient and He has plans of redemption and grace that go beyond just our scope of current times, and that He has good stuff for you as well because He has made everything beautiful in its time. And if it's not beautiful yet, it's not time. I know that's a real simplistic thing to just slap on there, but I genuinely believe it that He's going to make everything beautiful in its time. Because for me, good storytelling is when can make a you can make any character lovable, but also show any character as flawed. Um, and a lot of times, I think we miss the fact that we're not as lovable organically as we think we are, and that we're probably the villain in somebody else's story, at least in their perspective, and that God's being just as patient with you as you want him to be with other people. So, yeah. I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna go do my muggle job, and then come right back and do some more stuff. Before I go, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin, Winston, Michelle Stewart, Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for your encouragement, your support, um, and for just helping make all this possible. Next week is going to be a big week. Um, they expanded GalaxyCon Richmond to be an extra day. So the show starts on Thursday. So that's a whole basic week kind of taken out of my bubble. Um, and Grant, thank you. Or CG Grant, you're absolutely welcome, dude. Um, but I do get a discussion panel one day, and we have Geek Church on Sunday. And excited for that. And if you're in the Richmond area or you're planning to attend, let me know. Love to see you and try and make time to find you out while you're out there. Um, but be praying for me next week because it's going to be a big week. I've got a wedding tomorrow. I'm preaching Sunday, and then while I'm in the middle of the other jobs, I'm going to try and like get everything ready for this. I'm mostly ready. We'll see how it goes. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for all the ways you support, and I hope that you have a great week. I'll see you later. As soon as I hit this button that stops it. Okay, bye.